of the internet. We appear to be streaming multiple platforms, just getting her done. Thank you for showing up for those who chose to arrive. Making this video, I've recently had like a 2 hour chat session with a good friend, someone who, I've known since high school. Let me turn this light on real quick. Got to do that. Yeah, and I was chatting with a friend who I've known since high school, and we were catching up. We were on the same page on a lot of shit. It was refreshing, because, we went down similar paths and all that stuff. Is heavy in the activism community, and it was inspirational talking to him. I'm not going to take any of that away, because it was good. But when we started getting into certain issues that I currently have with the current administration, he started like saying, just talking about, if you're against Joe Biden, you sound like a Trump supporter. And he was like, I'm not talking about you, but I'm just saying people who have these gripes against Joe Biden, I mean, it's just, it's, you sound like a Trump supporter when you start saying certain things. I'm like, Trump, I don't fuck with Trump, period, at all. I use my platform for, like, propping up, like, Jill Stein when, last time I voted. I didn't vote for the Green Party candidate in 2020 because, he didn't really have the values that I would look for. So it's just like, what's the fucking point? If you're for war with Syria or war with any other fucking country instead of a war on poverty in America, you don't exemplify my values, right? So, but like every time I would just be like, yeah, like we would be talking about something, be like, yeah, but Donald Trump is just, he's the evil. I'm like, Donald Trump is not in office, right? And it became like it got to a point of vexation. Because it's like, it's something I've heard from other people. It's just like, you can't be critical of Joe Biden, the man who raised a crackhead who collaborates with Nazis. And it was like more information came out. Like this was, I was talking to my friend before the iCloud leak of Hunter Biden showing him like weighing up grams of crack, right? And like, being with underage girls, paying like over $30,000 for prostitutes in Russia and shit. He's a despicable person, and it's like, what kind of a man would raise him, right? And why would we make that man president? These are the questions that I have, especially someone who's been in power for over 40 years. Like Joe Biden said he didn't want to live in a interracial jungle. All kinds of fucked up shit, but like, I'm talking about like sensible people. You can't critique someone who raised this crackhead, and I'm gonna get into some of the stuff that Joe Biden said, but it's just it boggles the mind how people have just contorted logic, and people still think Donald Trump is the biggest issue when he's not in power. And if I'm critiquing someone who's in the Democrats, it's not because I support fucking Republicans. I'm just saying this whole system needs to be burned down. If anybody is just taking money from these corporations, if anybody is not for killing the corporations, I'm not for murder at all, period. I think, even the war criminals, I would love to keep them alive so we could turn their lives into a life of poverty and then film it, turn it into a reality show. Follow George Bush around, give him a job as a burger flipper, give him like below minimum wage, and just like have like people who he fucked over, like have them express how they feel on a day-to-day basis, or even, I'm all for, and also letting the countries that he started illegal wars with, they would also play a part in his justice too. But like I would rather keep them alive and keep them struggling in poverty, like the bottom of the totem pole, the people who they like the people who they fucked over. I'd rather see them go into that position and then just see everyone else get like a job with a livable wage and all that shit. But I digress. But it's just like I'm not for the violence towards the people. I'd rather just know that they're suffering. Know that suffering like what most of you guys go through day to day. But I said all that because like when I highlight this particular fucked up shit that Joe Biden and his family has done, it's not me endorsing Trump or any Republican. Fuck the Republicrats or the Democrats or whatever the fuck you want to call them. They're the same fucking party, two wings of the same bird. You know, when I was talking to my friend, he was talking about, it's funny how a lot of left wing people became like they ended up agreeing with people on the right wing. I'm like, there is like what do you consider left wing? What do you consider right wing? You know, for me, left wing means against war, against corporations, pro freedom, pro liberty, right? If you get away from those values, you got away from the left wing. You started like being like a corporate bitch, and it's usually like people who identify with these values are people who they start to climb the socioeconomic ladder. You know, they get a few scraps from the corporations. They just start to just change their whole ideology. If you start to become that person, you're getting away from the left wing. It's not the left wing is moving with you. But, you know, everyone has a different interpretation of what the left wing means. But this is my problem with Joe Biden. It has nothing to do with Trump. It has everything to do with the fact that he raised a crackhead while locking up millions of people who smoked way less than 20 grams of crack, who couldn't afford 20 grams of crack. And also, one of his sons died in a war that he was cheerleading for, and then he gave George Bush a medal for it instead of condemning all of this shit and getting us out of war. And then, like, of course, he furthered war. You know, he's funding Nazis in the Ukraine. But like, this is my issue with Joe Biden.
Today, more videos of Hunter Biden's antics have come to light. Many of them are simply too obscene to play here or even to describe.
That's the child porn.
Reasons I'll never understand. Films himself doing the creepiest things, including arguing with a woman about the size of his crack stash.
His crack stash. Almost 21 grams of crack. What kind of motherfucker weighs up 21 grams of crack? A crackhead. That's some crackhead shit to think about.
To Joe Biden, that's the smartest man he knows. As he really said that. And talking about the big guy, remember what Joe Biden said about those who are found with even a small amount of crack?
If you have a piece of crack cocaine, no bigger than this quarter that I'm holding in my hand,
locked up millions of people.
We passed a law through the leadership of Senator Thurmond and myself and others, a law that says you're caught with that, you go to jail for 5 years. You get no probation.
No probation.
You get nothing other than 5 years in jail.
This is before the hair implants.
5 years minimum, but I guess that was for the poor kids in the projects, not the entitled fail son of a US Senator, Vice President, and now President.
Yeah. So, double standards much? Yes, obviously. And it's funny because the friend who I was having this conversation with, obviously he's a black person, and he was ironically. He was affected by the war on drugs, from Oakland. He had to resort to selling drugs. He lost both his parents. It's a serious game out there. I'm not knocking a pork chop off of his plate. I'm just saying he's affected by the decisions of Joe Biden. Yet when I critique the motherfucker who was all for this motherfucking drug war that he felt the effects of personally, he was just like, man, you sounded like a Trump supporter. It's just. Like, how how do you arrive at that way of thinking? And then you might be saying it takes two parents to raise a crackhead. I mean, I'm saying Joe Biden. You could just say he wasn't there. You know, maybe he was, at the coke parties, the coke orgies, or whatever. So it's like his mom must have played a part. Like let's just hear what his mom has to say. Like, what kind of a person is Jill Biden, the mother of Hunter Biden?
But we can't get those things on our own. Raul helped build this organization with the understanding that the diversity of this community, as distinct as the Bogotas of the Bronx, as beautiful as the blossoms of Miami,
Beautiful.
and as unique as the breakfast tacos here in San Antonio.
Yeah, Raul is a breakfast taco. Raul, Santiago, all of the Hispanic sounding names you can think of, just their breakfast tacos and just enchiladas, just it's kind of reminiscent. It was a employee evaluation, like an old one on NatesVlogs, where it was like a news reporter was asking Mayor, like, what are you gonna do for the Hispanic community? He was like, I'm gonna have tacos. I'm gonna have tacos for dinner. We're gonna have tacos, enchiladas. Just like, how's that gonna improve the day-to-day lives of Hispanic people? What the fuck are you doing? Like, you're just proving that the person who's running this particular city is racist as shit, and he just views you as some kind of a meal, like to be devoured and spit out by the system. But this is Jill Stein. This is Joe Biden's wife. I mean, you got to be like a racist piece of shit to want to be with a racist crackhead. And it makes sense that y'all would raise a son who's weighing up crack on video, filming himself weighing up 21 ounces or 21 grams of crack. It's just like, yeah, you motherfuckers just like, you dropped the ball parenting. I don't know how the fuck he became president. And me saying this is not an endorsement of any fucking candidate. I am not endorsing anybody, let alone fucking Donald Trump. But it's just weird how people arrive at this perception where it's just like, you point out this shit, this cockamamie fucking fucked up racism, these hypocritical crackheaded individuals who are suffering from dementia. You point this shit out, and obviously you're supporting a racist like Donald Trump. No. But this is like common a lot of people, and I would like to wake people up to the fact that no, you can walk and chew gum at the same time. Right now I'm vlogging and chewing gum at the same time. You can say Democrats are bad because they take all this corporate money, and the Republicans are bad because they take all this corporate money. But I understand it's a complex thought to put into your brain. But I would like people to be able to do it. It would just make me a lot happier, and will make the conversations I have with people a lot more fruitful. Because a lot of times it's just like we're on the same page. You think the Republicans are bad? Sure, I'm right there with you, right? They're openly bad, overtly bad, right? They don't even try to hide how bad they are, right? But this is not the answer. Someone who raised like multiple crackheads, who's like accused of sexually assaulting his own daughter, taking showers with her when she's like way too old to be taking showers with, like this kind of shit is not not the answer you should put forward. I mean, these motherfuckers, they destroyed the Bernie campaign. I mean, Bernie definitely disappointed me. I mean, the fact that he can just get behind the Democrats, it's just like he's a loyal foot soldier. I don't need that. I don't want that. But it just vexates me beyond belief when I see people just buying up the propaganda. We're talking the same language. I would just like people to understand. I hate the Democrats because they're a piece of shit, corporately owned party, and I hate the Republicans. I don't have to say how much I hate the Republicans because everybody hates the Republicans. But I'm just, like a lot of people think, oh, they're more diverse pieces of shit because they got like a black vice president. They had, Barack Obama was a black corporate piece of shit. He was the last Democrat that tricked me into voting for him because I thought he was going to be giving us health care for all. Like, he was talking about revamping the Medicare, the medical system. I thought health care for all because that's what he was saying. But, he fucked me over. So this was 2008. Last time I voted for a Republican, same thing. Last time I voted for a Democrat. Or, I never voted Republican. And, 2012 came around. I was like, fuck Obama. I'm not going to waste my time to go out there and vote for a Republican in disguise. Blackface Republican. But, I don't know. It's just disappointing. Because I talked to my friend who I was talking to, smart person. Hella smart. Like, he's an activist. He's, like, spot on with a lot of his criticisms of the current system. But if you think the Democrats are the answer, it boggles the mind. And if you think like me critiquing the Democrats is support of the Republicans, it's just like we need to get away from all of this shit, right? Choosing between Republicans and Democrats is like a rapist telling you to choose the color of the condom that they rape you with, right? If you buy into their false dichotomy and you say, I'll take the blue one for because blue is cool and global warming, right? That'll help global warming somehow. That makes you a participant of your rape. That fucks you up more psychologically, right? So just don't buy into their false dichotomy. Fight the rapists, go elsewhere, and then like that. That's how you start to affect change. You can't form a line if you're afraid to stand alone. But yeah, there's a lot of people who just, they just, it hurts my heart to hear like a smart person who just like we agree on so much, but then when I start critiquing this party, the racist crackheads of the world, one of the top two worst evils that you can vote for. I start critiquing that. I become the enemy, and then like when we were talking about the funny thing, we were talking about why he hated. He's like, I can't fuck with someone who fuck with Donald Trump. I'm like, do you not realize Donald Trump was a professional con man? I realized that he didn't do much to help anybody, right? But he was at least vocally against the Bushes. He was vocally against the Clintons. And these are two political families that people were sick and tired of because they had been fucking us for decades. I was like, yeah. I realized he didn't do anything to help our situation, but at least he was like providing criticism of our problem. And he was like, man, nah, if you voted for him, you racist. I'm like, no. Joe Biden's the dude who locked up millions of people with his 1994 crime bill. How are you not racist for voting for this crack addicted hypocrite? How do you vibe with this logic? And it was just it was like mental gymnastics to see him like validate Joe Biden, who's been like way more racist, locked up way more people for a much longer time because he's been in office for over 40 years, fucking over millions of people. But it's just like some people's head is just like yeah, fuck Trump. I'll take anybody but Trump, even someone who's been evil for way longer than Trump has been around. I don't understand it, but here we go. Yes, Crimball. I don't know what Crimball is. Is that a reference? Is that a comment that I missed? Did you mean to say criminal? Crime bill. Yeah. Alright. Now I gotta get closer to see it. Yeah, crime bill. Yeah, the crime bill fucked over millions of people. And even people who were fucked over by the crime bill are unable to recognize that the person who wrote the crime bill is worse than Donald Trump. And that's just me being objective. Because, I'm no fan of Donald Trump. But shit has gotten significantly worse since he left office. Joe Biden is definitely a worse president. And I remember I was doing some reposts of like old videos of me critiquing Hillary Clinton. And it was like videos I posted when she was still running. It was like one of the videos was her calling American people domestic terrorists, right? And that's a term we heard again after January 6th, domestic terrorists. And I had a concern. I was like, domestic terrorists, that's like the kind of language they use towards Arab people after 9/11, right? And I was like, it seems like they're going to be taking that infrastructure they built over in Afghanistan and Iraq, surveilling people and criminalizing, them fighting back. Seems like they're going to be taking that and bringing it to America, with what they were what Hillary was talking about. And I was unapologetic in my fuck Hillary stance. I still think she would probably be a worse president than Trump, and she's talking about running again in 2024. I was grateful to have Jill Stein to vote for, because a lot of people were calling me a sexist. They were saying you're a sexist if you don't support Hillary Clinton, and I supported Jill Stein, and people still called me a sexist because they said a vote for Jill Stein is a vote for Donald Trump. I can't understand the logic of these people, but but like Donald Trump and the Democrat. Bill. It's hard. I mix them all up because they're mostly the same person. But Joe Biden and the Democrats, like that's their talking point. Domestic terrorists, because that is a part of their strategy, criminalizing dissenting Americans who have issues with their policies. Because who can get behind sending billions of dollars to the Ukraine, the Nazis in the Ukraine, giving them all kinds of weapons, while we have a homelessness epidemic in the United States of America? It's just it's frustrating, and it makes no sense. If we really care about making people's lives better, but if we really care about just fattening the bottom lines of corporations who profit off of suffering, like Boeing and Raytheon and Northrop Grumman and all that shit. If that's our goal, then funding the Nazis is a good thing, and that's what Joe Biden is all about. He's laundering a bunch of American tax dollars so he can give it to his son in a roundabout way, because his son is connected to the oil cartel, profiting with his biological weapons labs and all that. But point that out, and it's like, yeah, you support Trump, but it's just like, no, really, I'm just against this whole system. We sent Ukraine another $1 billion. Wait, it wasn't $1 billion. It was 1.7, closer to $2 billion if you round up. So yeah, and this is my issue. We could all the money we sent to the Ukraine, we could end homelessness. If we didn't have a corporate supremacist government, we could end homelessness, because I don't think any corporation should be able to hold any deed to any home when so many people are homeless, especially after they fucked over all those homeless people with the mortgage crisis back in 2008, right? We should nationalize our banks, because the banks are predatory. They're into fucking you over, getting you in a balloon payment, some shit they know you'll never be able to pay off, right? And they know it's going to get to a point where it's just like you're going to lose the home. Like we should do away with all those predatory practices. We should make it so that no home can sell for more than 1/3 or 30% of the person's income. So like we should go to all these corporations and be like, okay, you got like 90 days to get rid of this home because you can't own it. Why is a corporation owning all these homes? Why is one person owning all of these homes when we have millions of homeless people, right? So you have to sell the home to individual family for no more than 30% of that person's income, and you can't charge more. You can't charge 1 point whatever million. It's just we can't make it a profitable um, investment to buy up homes, right? That's a fucked up incentive structure because you're gonna have like a bunch of people who are like taking all of this money, investing in buying up homes, driving up the prices of homes, and then they become the owners of everything, and then we have no limits on what the amount of money they could have. I mean, there need to be hard limits. And I don't even want to say $1 billion. We need to make the limit $10 million in assets, because $10 million is $500,000 in interest alone every year. You can live off the interest of $10 million, right? If you can't live off of that, there's something wrong with you, right? And we need they're usually spending that kind of money on NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, so they can poison our water, rape people, do all kinds of fucked up shit, and then we can never hear about it because like they paid someone off. And if they couldn't pay for NDA, then they probably did what they did to Jeffrey Epstein. Like they hired a hitman to make it look like a suicide. So no one needs that kind of money. So just abolish the billionaire. And then once we abolish NDAs and people don't have more money than individual nations, then we'll see a lot more billionaires going to jail. Former billionaires. They won't be able to like buy up presidents, splurge on 21 grams of crack while they lock up millions of people who weren't connected to government officials. I mean, it's kind of common sense when you really think about it. Target. Well, I appreciate that. That's what I'm aiming for. Yeah, I would like to see society get better in our lifetime. I like to see, like instead of us depending on like a billionaire space travel, I would like to see us, take our own, like a publicly funded space program, something like NASA, but not run by Nazis. If you don't know about the history of NASA and the Nazis, look into Operation Paperclip. But just something like public, transparent. Get rid of the patent system, because the people who create the stuff, they don't usually patent it. The people who patent it are the creeps like fucking Bill Gates, going to Jeffrey Epstein's island and shit like that. Those people need to be arrested. They don't need more money than God. And I would like to just see like more justice and less suffering. And the only way to get to the justice is to end the suffering, which is to lock up the people who are causing it. That includes the Bidens. That's Jill. I don't know what she did specifically. She raised a crackhead. She sleeps with a crackhead, demented crackhead. But just lock up this whole ball of corruption. Investigate all of the Epstein Islands, the old school one and the new one. Because after Epstein died, they replaced them. It was like multiple CNN producers who were caught doing sex trafficking of children. So just all of those people. Don't just like lock up the people who were trafficking the children. Lock up the people who are buying the children. Like even if they're a prince or a president or whatever, they're a tech billionaire. Lock them all up. That's what I'm for. There's no support of Trump. Trump was on Epstein Island too. Lock him up too, right? I'm just saying, fuck the Bidens. Just And if you catch yourself like just hearing someone who like is saying fuck a politician that you like, that does not mean that they support a politician that you don't like. If they say fuck the politician you like, listen to their gripes. That's all I want people to do. So, but yeah, I do have a restroom break, and I got other stuff to get to. So I'll end it by saying, check out NatesVlogs.net. Just uploaded some new content. Also uploaded content on rumble.com/NatesVlogs. Some old stuff like like the Pokemon Rewind and stuff, but also got like a new series, Puppet News. The full videos are on rumble.com/NatesVlogs, but also have some of the videos that are under 10 minutes over at TikTok. TikTok, it's at Puppet News, and it's like the new series I've been working on to get around censorship. And the friend who I was going to be working with, we're going to be working on some musical stuff. So that's going to be on my website. You're going to have the full downloads over there. I already got like 10 songs together. I'm going to be putting that in like a little album. It's 10 songs that I would consider the album, and then it's going to be like around 10 songs for extras, like parodies, old school stuff. So yeah, that's where I'm going to be creating for as soon as I get off of here and use the restroom and tend to some other business. But yeah, and if you're in the Seattle area, I got another play coming up in August. I have more information as we approach that deadline, but I appreciate you guys for showing up. And don't forget to be good to each other. Tools. Ends the stream. Huh?